my name is Connor Martin. This is my third SSL, and it's on the fur trade. I hope you enjoy. The fur trade in New Mexico started around 1805. Trade in Santa Fe only grew, and outsiders began to show interest. In 1820, hatmakers wanted more beaver pelts, so fur trappers moved into the northern mountains of New Mexico. These trappers, also known as mountain men, were French Canadians, and those who weren't were just from the United States. The mountain men lived life on the edge and actually worked in New Mexico illegally. Geez, you think you know someone. So anyway, they didn't have permission to trap beaver in the area. Mexican law said that only residents of New Mexico could trap beaver. This didn't stop them though, since the demand for these furs was so great. Many were at risk of being arrested, so they had to be careful. In order to trap beaver, the mountain men had to first find them. Many lived in mountain waters near Taos. Thus, it became the headquarters for fur trade. Here, mountain men could gather and get whatever supplies they could. They left Taos in fall and camped in nearby mountains. Trappers had to face many dangers, but the worst by far was the Indians. They fought to hold their hunting grounds. Mountain men also feared grizzly bears, since many roamed the mountain forests. Heck, the mountain men even feared themselves. Well, other trappers. Mountain men trapped beaver over the winter, and someone could get as much as 400 pounds of beaver pelts in a single season. After this, the trappers moved back into Taos. They faced new danger. Mexican officials could arrest them for trapping illegally, and their entire catch would be taken away. But they were brave and were willing to take the risk. Mountain men became the single largest group of newcomers to Taos. There were many trappers, but the best known of all of them was Kit Carson. Little Carson, born in Kentucky, arrived in New Mexico in 1826. He became a trapper, hunter, and scout. He married Josefa Jaramillo. Through this marriage, he joined one of Taos's most prominent families. Wait a minute. One of Taos's most prominent families? Dang, he had a good strategy. He probably only married her to get accepted into the Taos community. The fur trade also brought businessmen Charles and William Bent and Saran and Marcelin Saint-Vrain. Two sets of brothers, wow. How could they all get along? Anyway, in the late 1820s, they started their own company and called it Bent Saint-Vrain and Company, which has a nice ring to it. The company began work near present-day La Junta, Colorado, just outside of Mexican territory. This was so fur trappers wouldn't have the fear of getting arrested. Bent's fort was built out of adobe brick and was completed in 1832. By the late 1840s, the fort was the center of southern fur trade. Both Indians and trappers brought their furs to the fort. As the company grew, they started to handle other things like trading and selling in other parts of New Mexico. With New Mexico being so open, outsiders moved in and were here to stay. New Mexico was changed. They started looking towards the United States, not Mexico. The traders' arrival broke New Mexico's isolation from the outside world. Thank you for listening to my SSL, and if there's one thing to be learned from this project, it's marry into a rich family.